The Dirty Foot Club came into our house, left their footprints all over the place. And what was that house made out of? It was made out of bricks.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Happy Thursday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. NC State basketball suffers a painful loss at the hand of the UNC Tar Heels by a score of 67-54 in PNC Arena on Wednesday night. Kenton, where to start? Whole lot of things to talk about in this one.
I don't understand what's going on with this team. I genuinely don't. Normally, Keats' calling card is, hey, there's going to be a couple guys that can always figure it out offensively. And then defensively, you just hope to force enough turnovers. This year, the defense has been where NC State hangs their hat. And yet, we're looking at an offense that's so anemic, it can't stand up too quickly or it'll fall over. Like, I don't understand how we are seeing what we are seeing in terms of just a pure, sheer lack of ability to put the ball in the bucket. You talk about the different things that we have. The collection of individuals that we have should not look this bad offensively. And it's one thing for there to be moments of drought, because that's basketball. Sometimes they just don't fall, and you live with that. This is multiple games this year where nothing would fall. Nothing at any point was falling. The defense kept us in it for as long as it could. But you knew eventually, hey, either you take the lead and gain some momentum, or UNC's coming with a knockout punch. The Dirty Foot Club will not, just allow this game to hang in the balance if you continue to miss wide open shots, if you continue to force up just anything, running the whoever offense. It's not going to work, and it has. Even in some wins where you just kind of left scratch your head saying, we won, I guess, but boy, was it ugly.
This one was especially frustrating because I thought the defense actually played well enough to win. I honestly thought they had a very good defensive effort. The lack of offense was so suffocating that you just weren't able to overcome it. And, we talked about Jaden Taylor's assignment with RJ Davis. For the most of the night, I thought he did a very good job.
Fantastic job.
He held him in check for the majority of the game, and kind of things started to get out of hand there late in the second half. RJ Davis only finished with 16 points, and many of those points were late in that second half. So I thought he did a phenomenal job on Davis all night. You had Armando Bacot was a relative non-factor for most of the night. DJ Burns was bullying that man from the jump in the first half.
Had that young man in Azkaban. It was just nasty work there.
He was able to get his down low. Bacot was just, he was almost like full on tackling him all the way down the court, had no answer for him, but Burns just wasn't able to be consistent enough on the offensive end to make that, make that a real soft spot in the UNC defense. We talked about holding Davis and Bacot in check. We did that. That was one of our main keys, to hold the two of them combined under 30 points. We achieved that. The problem was the other three keys we had laid out missed miserably. We did not score anywhere near 75 points. We did not shoot anywhere near 4% from deep. In fact, we shot 9.5% from deep. You could be playing Belmont. You could be playing Florida A&M. 9% from three will rarely ever get it done, and especially not against UNC in this one.
If you look at these young men's shooting, if you look at their shooting statistics, they're putting up tour dates out here. Yep. 216, 312, 48. Like, what are we doing here? What are we really doing? Come on, man. This is embarrassing. Why can't we ever have a team that's good offensively and a team that's good defensively? Why can't we ever bring them both together? If you bring this defense with the offense that we had last year, where it was Jarkel, or it was Jaquavion, or it was DJ, with this defense that we're bringing this year, you got yourself a team that's going to make themselves a run. Unfortunately, history will not remember it that way.
More about the offensive struggles in just a minute, but just in terms of an overall game recap, built a little bit of a deficit there close to halftime. Michael O'Connell had some phenomenal defense, some good passing displays to reach us back within, I believe it was 2 coming into the break. We're able to keep it close, and that was kind of the theme of the entire evening. We were able to keep it close, but then the moment we did, it was a turnover. It was a forced shot. Getting beat on defense, not getting back quick enough, and, UNC gets an easy transition bucket. It was just kind of the same thing, rinse, wash, repeat all night. You would get real close, and then self-inflicted wounds, and then, okay, there's another 6-point, 8-point, 10-point gap again, and you have to work back from that. And kind of a parallel to the football team this year, I'm not so sure, despite all of our depth, that we're built to play from behind. And it's so important to get out in front and then continue to stay aggressive in that sense. We're not able to break through all at any point in the evening tonight. So it's a tough one. Super sucks to see the blue team take that instead of us. The game was there for the taking. I thought UNC really didn't play all that well. We forced them into several mistakes. We forced them into forcing tough shots. We did fairly okay on the boards, minus Harrison Ingram, who had 19 of those things tonight. But you kept Baycott in check as a rebounder. That was good. I thought we were fairly aggressive on the boards, but some second chance opportunities were killer. But, you just keep circling back to the offense. Just no offense anywhere to be found for NC State. And that was the story.
I am as much for, having those conversations about Keats as anybody. I really don't care one way or the other. Let me be very clear about that. I'm not about to sit here and lie to you and say, hey, Keats is so bad that I think he's leading the program in the wrong direction. I'm also not pro Keats to the point where I'm like, hey, he's our guy. He's a winner. Stick with him. Year 10 will be different. No, I'm not that guy either. I'm looking at this and I'm saying, if you are upset, if you are disenfranchised by this, I'm okay with that. I'm 1,000% okay with that. We're having this kind of same conversation about ourselves in terms of like, we're seeing the same themes pop up again and again and again, which we're going to get to after this break.
Yeah, and Kenton, you and I stand pretty much in the same spot on the whole Keats ordeal here. Whether he is the guy, he'll be the guy. If he's not the guy, then he won't be. I know we've now essentially 4 frustrating losses against 4 good teams, and all of which you felt like we had a pretty good shot to win. And I'd say some of it is coaching, but not all of that is coaching. Tonight, you didn't shoot well at all. 26% field goal percentage, 9% from 3. You can't exactly pin that on Keats. Now, you coach shot selection. You coach them to making good decisions. Some people often forget the players still got to go out there and execute. Tonight, They did not execute. So you can't entirely hang that on Keats. Now, again, some of the conversations are warranted. I don't think all of them are warranted. You got 2 more months to right this ship. That's still a lot of time. Now, some of the issues we're seeing that we're going to touch on in just a second have to get cleaned up in a hurry. But the season is by no means over. We're tied for second place in the ACC. The season is nowhere near the end here. If you let this loss kick you down the road, then yes, it will turn into more than 1 loss. And then maybe your season will be over in a couple of weeks as opposed to 2 more months. Wait until we get further down the road to, cast off a team here.
The football team at the end of September had lost 2 games already. I believe the record was 3-2 at that point in time. Okay. And 2 months later, what happened? You finish out the season after that 3-2 start. You finish out the season 6-1. And many people said, hey, Dave's not the guy. He's been here forever. There's always something. He'll never be the guy. I'm not saying that Keats is the answer. I'm not saying they're going to go on that type of heater that the football team went on. All I'm saying is there's plenty of season left. And after the season, well, there's some conversations to be had. But for right now, hold your horses. Let's, work our way through this thing. The reality is this game does not determine the season, and we get to see these bozos again. We'll see them again.
A lot of people get so hung up on a quad one opportunity, and maybe we don't have that many more left. Seeing Carolina again, that's going to be one of them. That one could look very good on the resume depending on where you are at that point in time. So there's still plenty of wins out there. We just got to go out and get them to make a difference in March. Up next, we'll be diving into some of these offensive struggles that we've been hinting at and what needs to absolutely change moving forward before things do turn from bad to worse. After a quick word from our sponsors. Our first sponsor of the day is Gametime. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Gametime is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all of the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect upon arriving. Their all-in prices show your total upfront, so you know you're getting a great deal when you check out. You can buy their tickets in just seconds with a number of taps, and they have deals on tickets all the way up to the start of the event, even an hour after it starts. Gametime is the place to find last-minute ticket deals. If you're in the market for NC State basketball tickets throughout the rest of the season, maybe some NC State baseball tickets coming up as their season's a little over a month away, get over to Gametime. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, create an account and use redeem code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Middle portion of our Thursday show here. Wanted to take a couple minutes to talk about these offensive struggles that seem to be very apparent after two of our last three basketball games here have been riddled with extremely low offensive production. Now, Wednesday night in PNC, we shot an overwhelmingly horrible 26.9% and 9.5% from three. Like I mentioned, really doesn't matter who you're playing. When you shoot that poorly, you put yourself in jeopardy to lose against anybody, let alone UNC. They're going to take advantage of that like you saw them do so. Casey Morsell, as weird as this may sound, was actually our leading scorer with 12 points. Many of those were coming very late in that game, maybe some garbage time points. But Casey Morsell is one of these guys that you expect to be a key shooter. You want him to be in position to knock down a key shot based on all of the production you got out of him last year. This year, he does not look anything like the same Casey Morsell. He was 3 of 12 in this game, 0 for 6 3, and that's not just tonight. He struggled at Notre Dame, struggled a bit against UVA. He's really struggled all year long. The other shooter that you're to here is DJ Horn. Also had a rough night. DJ Horn shot 2 for 16 and 0 for 3 from 3. When you put Horn and Morsell together, who you expect to be two of your top two shooters, they shot a combined 5 of 28 and 0 of 9 for 3. If you really think about it, that's kind of the story of the evening. You had ample opportunity to knock down shots, to take a lead, to climb back in it, to give yourself life here, and it was just brick after brick after brick.
Don't worry, y'all. I'm going Bob the Builder on this thing. Can we fix it? Yes, we can. Because at the moment, I got a call from the Sinaloa cartel inquiring, can we please get some bricks? You all are getting them for the low price that we cannot match, and you all are about to take over. So here's what we're going to do, okay? Here's the first thing that I'm going to do for this offense. I love DPJ. I love him. I think he's going to be special here. I think he's going to turn into something very, very special here. Make him your sixth man. Put MJ Rice in your starting lineup. Now, here's why you put MJ Rice in your starting lineup. Our guards seem to have a hard time getting around folks, just one-on-one, hey, roll the ball out, make it happen, which we didn't see as a problem with Jarkel Joyner and Terquavion Smith for a lot of last year. Now, let me tell you why that's a bit problematic. That's a bit problematic because if you don't have somebody who can get to the rim consistently, you don't have somebody who applies pressure and makes defenses collapse consistently. But here's the next thing I'm doing after I put MJ in the starting lineup. I'm grabbing MJ by his collar and I'm saying, hey, brother, you're bigger and stronger than pretty much everybody guarding you. And you got a good handle on you. Not a great handle. We're going to use you like people who play with the Lakers in 2K. We're going to spam. Give me that small forward to the rim. Please and thank you. We're going to spam that. And when that doesn't work, guess what? You're going to drop it off to our big fella, DJ Burns underneath, and feed him. That's what we're going to do here. Because right now we're struggling to generate opportunities off dribble penetration. Y'all saw the game like I saw the game. Were we finishing at the rim well? No. So what do you need? A guy who can finish at the rim well. Get to the rim. Get downhill. We'll set a pick for you. Do your thing. We'll get you one-on-one with a big. Get downhill. Put pressure on the defense. Make it happen from there. Next thing, I'm telling Casey Marcel, hey, listen, bro. I need you to shoot the ball better. I need you to shoot the ball better. This isn't a want. This isn't a desire. I need you to shoot the ball better. For reference on why I'm saying I need Casey Marcel to shoot the ball better, compared to last year, his field goal percentage is down from 47% to 42%. His three-point field goal percentage is down from 41% to 32%. His free throw percentage is down from 79% to 69%. Your sole purpose offensively, knock down that three ball. I know everybody wants the ball in their hands a lot. Everybody wants to have all these things in their bag. Casey, let me let you in on the secret, brother. There's a guy in the NBA. His name is Duncan Robinson. Do you know how much money he just got paid to do one thing? Just one thing. That's it. That's it. Duncan can't defend like you, brother. You know how much he's getting paid to just do that thing? Don't worry about putting the ball on the floor. As soon as it touches your hand, you need to either be letting it fly to the rim or making a pass immediately. But putting that thing on the floor that's not where you need to live right now, dude. That is not where you need to live right now. So, and I'm sorry, last thing. DJ Horn, hey, love what you're doing. Love it when you get hot. But, brother, sometimes you got to realize when it's not your night. And you've got to positively affect the game in other ways, which you failed to do tonight. So those are probably the things I would do if I'm Keats to get this thing turned around. Because, again, I don't see a world where you keep letting MJ Rice barely play minutes and chuck threes in those minutes where he's rarely playing and be like, that's a good use of MJ. That's a great use of that guy. Are you okay? Are you well? What are we doing? You can't finish at the rim and probably your best finisher on the drive on the team. You don't tell him, hey, man, put your head down. Go give me a bucket.
My overall synopsis of everything you just said, for me, a lot of this boils down to shot selection. And in this game on Wednesday night, I saw a lot of very poor shot selection. And not to completely put him on the spot here, but a lot of this came from DJ Horn. I know there's parts of the game where he is the primary ball handler when Michael O'Connell's not in there. And I'm not so sure that, well, some of our primary concerns coming into this season are if DJ Horn can go on primary ball handler responsibilities and also be potentially a lead scorer when this team needs him to be. And it looks like sometimes the wires get crossed in that sense. And tonight was one of those times. Yeah. Several points in the game where he'd get, drive into the key and he looked like he was trying to pass, but then ended up taking the shot. And every single time it was just ill-advised. Some of the open shots you get were, those are bricks as well. Overall, bad night for DJ Horn, but a lot of the shot selection, even for Casey Marcel, I echo a lot of your sentiment on Casey Marcel. He just has to find a way to become more consistent because we need him. This offense desperately needs him to be a consistent shooter because when he's not, we struggle mightily, especially when DJ Horn is also not on a night like this one. And then circling all the way back around to MJ Rice. I've seen a lot of comments from folks asking, where is MJ Rice? Why are we not seeing more MJ Rice? What's taking so long to get more consistency from MJ Rice? All of those concerns are starting to get a little bit louder and a little bit more valid each time I hear them. At this point in the season, when your offense is getting so anemic in games like Wednesday night, games like on the road at Notre Dame, couple times early in the early non-conference portion of the schedule. How much worse could it get? Now, I will say this on MJ Rice. I thought he jacked up 2 ill-advised threes on Wednesday, and I tweeted there shortly after, I need him to attack the rim. He is the strongest player on the court. He is stocky enough to work his way to the rim and attack the basket.
And he's explosive enough to finish at the rim. He's explosive and strong enough to finish at the rim as well. So go, brother, go be you. Go do what you do well. That, again, I think there's too many guys that are not doing what they do well. And I think that's as much as I want to say, hey, that's on players to execute, it's also on Coach Keats to let these guys know I'm not dealing. We're too deep to play around this with y'all and play this game of I'm going to let y'all, take tough contested mid-range. Oh, I stopped my dribble, look around for a pass. I'm going to just throw something up. Hey, O'Connell, come on, brother. You play the game the right way. Let's get you in here.
The offensive identity is, just when you think it's starting to be established in a game like UVA, it very quickly disappears in a game like UNC. So obviously still a work in progress, but it just doesn't feel like the strengths of each individual are truly being highlighted in some of these sets, some of the plays being drawn up. You're asking a little bit too much of some guys and not enough of others. And that continues to be a massive issue for this offense. It's only early January still 16 ACC games left to play. You can't afford to play along with this for too much longer, but there's still time to get back on top of this thing.
Objectively speaking, I don't think that this was a terribly constructed game plan. I don't think that this was a terrible job by Keats overall. I just think that when you look at this game and you say to yourself, if your team just makes 2 to 3 more of those threes, everything's all right here. And it's not like you didn't have 2 to 3 open looks. I counted at least 6 or 7 that I'm like, oh, they're wide open. That's, even in college, you need to knock down about half of those if you're going to be a good team. And again, Casey Morcell, brother, we need you to return to the form of last year. That is where you do your best work. And it's imperative that you do your best work because you unlock so much of the offense. You can't double DJ when you're shooting extremely well and when you're moving to find open space on the perimeter. It just can't happen. DJ Horn, when you're knocking down shots, they can't double DJ. It's just a fact.
Where does NC State basketball go from here? We'll talk about that coming up next after a quick word from our sponsors. Our second sponsor of the day is FanDuel. The NFL regular season is wrapped up and NFL wildcard weekend is on the way, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $150 back in bonus bets guaranteed when you place just a $5 bet. That's right, $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is super easy to use, and there's so many different ways to win, including live same-game parlays, finding bets within the new Explore tab, making a parlay in the Parlay Hub, which is the best way to find popular parlays, and more. If you want to lay some action on all the exciting storylines across the NFL wildcard weekend, there's no better place to do it than on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup, or in this case, a touchdown. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. Last couple minutes here on Thursday. Just want to talk about what NC State basketball has coming up next. Of course, you suffer an extremely frustrating loss at home to UNC on Wednesday night. So what do we have coming up after that? Well, you go on the road at Louisville this weekend on Saturday. You got Wake Forest at home next week, and you got Virginia Tech at home at the end of next week. 3 extremely winnable games. 3 games that you ultimately should win. And I hate using the should word, but that's the fact of the situation here. Yeah. If you go on the road and you turn 1 loss into 2 losses, and that second loss is at Louisville, then maybe you start talking about a doomsday scenario because, again, another one of the games, that loss is about as bad as you can get. And I know Louisville just beat Miami. Doesn't matter. No excuse for going into Louisville this weekend and potentially laying an egg. You got to refocus ASAP and get on the road and take care of business.
Let me explain something to you. This team cannot, better not, shall not lose to the Kenny Payne-led Cardinals under any circumstances if they want to be taken seriously.
Right.
And I mean that with everything in my heart and soul. I mean that as genuinely as I've ever meant anything in my life. If I do recall correctly, Kenny Payne took over the program last year, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, in Kenny Payne's time as the head coach at Louisville, did you know that they have never, not one time, not once in his entire tenure, won back-to-back ACC basketball games?
So you better not be the first.
Don't you let this game stay on your head, in your head and on your mind to where you turn it into two. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That team is objectively a train wreck in every sense of the word. Don't let one loss turn into two, and two turn into three, and three turn into, we got to get rid of them in February because we got to get our coaching search going early. This is, again, you cannot have, you got to win this game. You got to win this game. The same way that people talk about the Notre Dame as a must win, Louisville is another one. Got to win it.
Almost more of a can't lose, in my opinion. The win doesn't necessarily help you, but the loss will absolutely deflate you. You cannot afford to go lose that game. And then looking a little bit further into next week, you got Wake Forest at home on Tuesday, and you got Virginia Tech at home on next Saturday. So again, your next three games are extremely winnable. And you talk about staying competitive here at the top of the conference. You go 3-0 in your next three, you're sitting at 6-1. You're still very much competitively near the top of this conference. You want to project out a little bit further. The three after that, on the road at Virginia, on the road at Syracuse, and then at home against Miami. Did any of these games in your mind say, nope, there's no way we're winning that one? Because not a single one. None of them go like that for me. Now, I'm not saying we're going 6-0. Basically, I'm just trying to say here, the ACC is wide open. If NC State wants to stay at the top, they absolutely can, but it's up to them to do so. The season's not over. There's plenty of season left. It's going to take a whole lot of work to stay at the top, but just like the game on Wednesday, it's there for the taking. You just got to make sure you take it.
I talked about the parallels between this team and the football team earlier. You are at a crossroads where every game is winnable and every game is losable going forward.
Right.
You probably need to make some adjustments to your starting lineup and the roles in which people occupy on this team. Grayson and I also, in doing a little digging, found out one player who was taken out of the starting lineup that made our running game exponentially better every game afterwards. We're not going to say the young man's name because, we don't want to do that. But the reality is the basketball team is quite literally in a very similar place to where the football team was at a very similar junction in their season. Where are you going to go with it? You have a sight of a team that turned it around, and when everybody said, hey, you're terrible, you're no good, you're lousy, we're probably not going to win another game this year, you see what they did. Basketball, it's your turn now. Right this ship. There's plenty of time.
It's a tough loss, but the sun came up again, and we got to keep it pushing. That's going to do it for us here on Thursday. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in with us. Make sure to hit that like button. Drop your comments in the comment box. Let us know what you think about Keats' coaching job, about the season outlook, about the loss on Wednesday, and about the next three games coming up for the NC State Wolfpack. As always, hit that subscribe button. We will see you all tomorrow. Until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.